So, if you are a Spider-Man fan, you have probably already seen this movie. But if you haven't, I'm about to tell you why I think this film is important and why you need to see it. When this film was announced, I was intrigued but a little concerned, mainly because it's produced by Sony Animation and they have a questionable track record. Though after the first trailer released, I was very surprised. This was the same Sony Animation? Though it's not just Sony, a few other production companies were also involved in making this film, including Lord Miller Productions, which was started by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, the directors of my favorite animated movie, the Lego Movie. I'm glad they got involved with Spider-Verse because they're part of the reason why this film looks the way it does. They wanted the film to feel like a comic book, and let me tell you, this is the most comic book-like movie I have ever seen. The art style and animation just screams comic book. You could literally pause any frame of this movie and it would look like it belongs in a comic. The combination of 3D and 2D effects blend so well together to create something that I've never seen before. But it's not just the animation that is comic book-like, it's also the story. Again, this is the most comic book-like movie I have ever seen because the story is so weird. It involves different spider people from alternate realities where characters are the same, yet completely different. I wouldn't imagine a storyline like this in a comic book movie 10 years ago. And the fact that it's animated, they were able to go to all sorts of crazy places with it. It's the first mainstream comic book movie that gets this weird with its story, and I love it. I mean, some of the Marvel Studios films have gotten pretty weird, but not this weird. It's why I think this movie is not only important for animation, but also comic book movies in general. I'm amazed how the movie doesn't try to talk down to the audience while explaining everything too. They're very quick in going over the origins for each character in a very fun way. The only origin story that's really expanded upon is Miles Morales, since he's the main character and this is really his origin story movie. One point I want to bring up regarding animation though is actually the length of the movie. Yeah, I know, a bit of a strange thing to bring up, but I have a reason. You see, most animated movies are between an hour and 15 to an hour and 40 minutes. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is an hour and 56 minutes. It's nearly 2 hours. Yet it did not feel like it at all because the movie is so good, but that's not really my point. You see, animated movies tend to be around the 90 to 100 minute length so kids and their parents won't get too bored. This is especially true of Hollywood animated movies, the only exception usually being Pixar with a few of their films. It's a bit different for anime films. I mean, both Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke are over 2 hours, and they're a couple of the most celebrated animated films of all time. It's something I wish more animation studios would do. Ignore how long an animated movie is expected to be, and instead focus on how long their movie should be. I just think the length might be something holding back animated films from being taken as seriously as live action. So I'm glad to see it when a great animated film is the length of most live-action movies, especially ones in the same genre. I'm of the firm belief that movies should only be as long as they need to be. Whether it's 90 minutes or 3 hours, there's no perfect length. And when a film is great, you don't notice how long it is. Spider-Verse is one of those films where I was constantly engaged and it took time developing its characters and their motivations. Some of the other Spider people we don't get to stay with quite as long as the others, but they are still given time. I'm still surprised how much I didn't guess about this movie going in, even though I saw all of the trailers. There's a ton of humor, great action, and of course, amazing visuals with its unique style. There are so many nods to different Spider-Man lore too. It's pretty much the equivalent of what the Lego Batman movie was for Batman fans. I've already seen the movie twice, but I just can't wait to get this movie on Blu-ray so I can look through it to see anything I might have missed. It's been a pretty good year for Spider-Man fans with the PS4 game and this movie coming out. That reminds me, I should get the DLC for the PS4 game. If you have a chance this December, definitely go see it. Even if you're someone who only sorta likes Spider-Man. Trust me, you won't regret seeing this. It's unlike anything else. So if you have seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, by now we're getting a bit used to winter. We're like soldiers in the middle of a campaign, growing hardened to discomfort and better able to